Hey y'all, what's up? Coach Paul here. God has qualified me. This is Move Mondays, and you have greatness in you. Now, before we get to talking about that greatness, y'all know it. If you don't move that person, those people, those places, those things, those thoughts, those ideas, or those ways, Coach Paul promises you this man, woman, and child. It is definitely going to move you, and you don't want to move what's going to move you too. Now, let's get to the nugget for the day before we get to the content. Let me drink a little water right quick. Here's the nugget. For the most part, everybody wants some sort of or semblance of stability in their lives. Here's one way that you won't get stability is by doing what everybody else is doing. In fact, I'm gonna go a little deeper. The easiest and the quickest way to forfeit your stability is by doing what everybody else is doing. All right, let's get to this content of the day. Wow, let me read this definition to y'all. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. System, an assemblance or combination of things or parts forming a complex or unitary whole. It's a bunch of things put together to make that whole of whatever it is that we are looking to make whole. That's what a system. You have to have a system. And the reason why I want to talk about system today is because one of the things about your greatness, whether it's understanding it, whether it's learning it, whether it's developing it, whether it's walking in it, whether it's sustaining it, you're going to have, you and I, all of us, we are going to have a system. Now watch this. I'm gonna make it as simple as this. In the content that I put up, right, for each and every one of the episodes of Move Mondays, there's a system that I go by. First thing, I listen out for the title, right? Once I get that title and I feel like that's what God wants me to talk about this week, I'll sit and then the content starts to be formed that I'll be speaking about that's attached to the title. And once the content has enough form in it, then I come into my studio and I get all of my equipment set up. I set up my computer. I get my camera connected to my computer. I get my computer connected to my sound system and my mic and all of those things. I figure out which one of the Move Mondays or Move I Have Greatness to Do outfits that I'm going to wear for that particular episode. And then I come in here, I sit down, I give my prayer and honor to God first, and then I get started with my content. It's a system, and I have to go by that system every time. The other thing about my system is that I always have to make sure that I double check my sound and my camera, because there's been some times that I took my system for granted and didn't pay attention, and sometimes my video or audio was a little off in certain episodes. And it was all, again, it's because some of those times I didn't go by the system or I took the system for granted. And many of us out there in our lives, one of the reasons why things are starting to go crazy in our lives or not matching up or mapping out to what it is that we want it to be is because sometimes we don't have a system. And even if we do have a system, we're not going by that system on a consistent basis. We are taking some things for granted because we've gotten used to it. And that's one of the things that we don't want to do when it comes to the systems that's going to help us develop and walk in the greatness that God has put inside of each and every one of us. Now, how do I know that systems work? I'm gonna start with my church. I love my church. And one of the reasons why I love my church is because they have a system in place. The first and foremost, the most important system that they have in place is how do we get closer to God? That's the system is set up for that whole and one purpose. how do we get you, us, and we as a unit closer to God? And they have a system that they go by that assists you in doing that. My pastor says like this sometimes. He says, for people who are coming, who are new to their walk, or even new coming into our church, he says, give us a year and you follow the system that we have in place. Give us a year. And if that system has not worked and changed your life, we'll give you everything back that you invested in the church. Your time, your money. Now, we can't get your time back, but anything that you've given, we'll give it all back, and you can go your way. Now, let me tell you this: I've not seen nobody walk away that followed the system that's in place with my church. Now we'll move on. Some of the guys that I come up under, some of the guys that's mentoring me, some of the guys that's teaching me, some of the guys that's shaping me, some of the guys that's molding me, and I got some names. You got T.D. Jakes, you got Eric Thomas, you got Wall Street Trapper, you got Les Brown. The list goes on and on. Dr. Groove. I'm gonna make sure I give shout out to my people. There are people out there that's pouring into me, right? By watch this, by some of the stuff that they give me, and me being able to watch the systems that they are living by, that they're doing whatever it is that they're doing by. And all of these people that I spoke about, what they're doing, it's working. And why is it working? Because all of them has a system that they go by in order to make their things operate in the way that it's supposed to operate, and to reach the goals that they're looking to reach. So another thing about a system, your system has to have goals to it. You can put a system together all you want to, but if you don't have any goals that's attached to that system, again, it's almost like you're just moving. How do I know? I've been there and I've done that. Now, I want to talk about also some situations that I came across where the system had got interrupted and all hell broke loose in people's lives. Back in, I say about 2015 or 2016, give me a second. When I had first started my healing and recovery journey, I came across this guy that was a pillar in the recovery community. And we created a relationship, right? Because I saw what he was doing, and it looked like it was working, which it was. It was working. And I wanted to know how was he doing it, and how was he doing it, and what was he doing that was making his life work in the way that it was working, especially from a recovery standpoint, right? And so when we started to connect and have communications and conversations, he said, I got to make sure that I keep it honest with you. He says, I'm literally on year 3 in my recovery journey. Now watch this. If he wouldn't have told me that, I wouldn't have known. I would have thought that he was doing this doing it for a long time. And why? It was because he had a system that made his life work, and he had some stability to go along with that system, right? Now, watch this. He said, I got to keep it 100 with you. He said, I'm on year 3, but before this, I had 28 years. Excuse me, give me a second. He said, before this, I had 28 years, right? And I ended up falling off for 8. And I said, what happened? He said, I stopped doing what worked. I stopped my system. And because I stopped my system, it put me back in a place and in a position where I knew that I didn't want to be and I didn't want to go. And I stayed in that because I didn't stick to the system. I stayed in that rut or in that hole longer than I wanted to be there. I really didn't want to be there. This is what he told me. He said, but I definitely stayed in there a whole lot longer than I want to, is because I got away from my system. And by the time I looked up, I was too far away to even reconnect with that system and had to create a whole new one. Oh my God. I think I just said that to me. Now, second person. When I first moved here to California, 2021, I was invited to an event and asked to speak, right? And I spoke about my journey. I was about 6 years into my recovery and healing journey at the time, and I spoke at this event. And when I got done spoken, there was a lady that was sitting next to me, and she said to me, she says, I wasn't going to even talk. She said, but you inspired me to say something. And so now I'm going to go ahead and speak. And then she started talking about her life. And she mentioned the fact that she was on day 9 of her recovery and healing journey. Watch this, y'all. Watch this. After having 30 years of recovery or sobriety. After having 30 years, when she was sitting next to me, she was on day 9 of sobriety. So you know me, y'all know me, Coach Paul. I had to ask. So when the meeting, when the meeting and the event was all over, we still talked a couple of minutes, and I asked. I said, out of curiosity, if you want to, that's fine. If you don't have to. But I just want to ask, what happened? She said, I stopped doing what worked. I stopped my system. I didn't stick to my system. I got comfortable. I got comfortable and got away from the system, and here I am. By the grace of God, I'm still alive. I'm on day 9. And so I wanted to have this conversation with us around on this episode of Move Mondays about a system. Let me tell you this. In building healthy relationships, there has to be a system. In managing your finances, there has to be a system. In having your body in the best health and shape possible, there has to be a system. In your social settings, in your environments, the way you navigate in those, there has to be a system. In anything that you're doing, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, there is going to be and has to be a system. So when you talk about your greatness and my greatness, there has to be a system to it. What is your system looking like? Do you have a system, right? Are you going back and making sure you check in on that system? What am I saying? I got to go check the temperature and see if the system is moving in the right direction moving in the right direction. If the temperature ain't right, I got to be able to change the thermostat. I got to move it up, down, or whatever way that I need to do it in order to make sure that I stick to this system that works for my life. Now, let me say this also about systems. As you navigating in your system, there's going to be some times when what system you had in place that was working, it has reached its fullest potential. It has reached it has reached its limit, and you got to watch this, incorporate some other stuff into this system that you've been working and take some stuff out. The stuff that has reached its potential, reached its goal, has done what it's supposed to do. You're gonna have to get rid of it and implement some more things into your system in order to keep going. What am I saying? Don't ever allow yourself to have a mindset that I made it because I worked this system and I got to this point. As long as you're alive, there's always going to be room for growth. You're going to have to continue to grow. How many trees you know that are still alive that don't grow every year in the seasons that it grow? And it's a system. Remember, they lose their leaves in the fall, gain whatever leaves or fruit in the spring and in the summer. There's a system that has to that has to be followed in order for you, any of us to walk in the greatness or in the lives that God has called each and every one of us to live. So again, I want to ask us all, do you have a system? What is that system? Are you following that system? Are you open to change and adjustments for your system when that time presents itself? Because if you're not, you just going. And like I said in the beginning, if you just going, it's not sustainable, people. With that being said, Coach Paul loves every last one of y'all, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Until we see each other again, please be well, do the next right thing. God bless you all. And if you looking for a but, it's going to always be easy to find one. I'll see y'all next time. Deuces.